Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. After the Civil War, resentments and animosity lingered in the hearts of many. There's a famous story about Robert E. Lee, who in those years was invited to visit in the home of a woman in Kentucky. The woman showed him the remains of a grand old tree. It was obvious the tree held great sentimental value for her because she was crying as she described how the tree had been destroyed by Union artillery fire. She expected the general to sympathize with her and condemn the North for all the atrocities they had committed. Instead, Lee just looked at the tree and quietly said, "Cut it down, my dear madam, and forget it." Lee knew the war was over, and holding on to past resentments only eats away at a person like cancer. Corrie ten Boom was a well-known Christian writer whose book, The Hiding Place, describes her family hiding from the Nazis, their eventual discovery, and being sent to a concentration camp. She survived this ordeal and wrote the story. In the book, she writes often of encountering camp guards after the war. The struggle she often faced was whether to forgive them or not. She finally resolved not to hang on to the hate. As she put it, to forgive someone is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. This week we are looking together at Bible stories of forgiveness, and they can serve as examples urging us to live in forgiveness for others. It is often so easy to get caught up in the resentment and animosity of past hurts, and if we do, we are the ones who suffer. Forgiveness is a letting go of those things and entering a new beginning with someone. As I have said earlier in the week, it admits the wrong and hurt, but then moves forward to say, I'm not going to let that stand in the way between us. Today's Bible story is one where those old resentments and hurts could have stood in the way, but instead, a new future was envisioned together. This will be our third day to talk about Jacob, whose story seems to feature forgiveness over and over. We began by talking about how Jacob's brother Esau forgave Jacob for all the wrongs Jacob had done to him. Yesterday we spoke of Jacob's sons and how 11 of them sold their brother Joseph into slavery in Egypt, but then how Joseph forgave them and even saw God's hand in what had happened. You might think we were through with Jacob, but there is one more aspect of his story we need to see. Remember that Joseph was Jacob's favorite. Joseph didn't do anything to deserve that. He was the favorite because he was the child of Rachel, the wife Jacob loved. How Jacob got all these sons by other women is a long and complex story, but suffice it to say that he and Rachel were an item, and Joseph was the son produced from the two of them. All of Joseph's brothers knew that he was the favorite, and it spawned a deep resentment in them, so much so, in fact, that they sold him into slavery in Egypt, put blood on the special garment Jacob had given Joseph, and told their father that they had found the coat, and his favorite son must have been killed and eaten by wild beasts. That's where the story lay for years and years. But then when the famine came, Jacob sent his sons down to Egypt to buy food, and there they encountered Joseph, not only alive, but in charge. That encounter, too, is a long and complex story, but once Joseph had forgiven his brothers, those very same brothers had to go back to Jacob in Canaan and admit what they had done. Imagine telling a father that they had intended to kill his favorite son, but instead sold him into slavery in Egypt, thinking that they were well rid of him and would never see him again. And they stuck to their story for years and years, watching their father's grief. If you were that father, might you have hard feelings and resentments toward your sons? I think at first Jacob did. The way the Bible tells it, he couldn't believe his ears and made his sons tell him the story several times before he could fathom it. But then it seems that Jacob did not hold on to those resentments from the past or even give them life at all. He and his sons got busy packing their families, their belongings up, and together they headed off to Egypt, where Joseph could care for them. Rather than live in a prison of past hurts, Jacob set himself free and embraced the new life God had given him. What a powerful example for us of how we deal with deep hurts and wrongs. Assigning blame and anger doesn't change anything, or even in the end help you to feel better. Let it go and cut it down. Set yourself free. Move forward. Forgive. Thanks for sharing these moments with me, and remember to let this day belong to God.